NBA DFS show with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Preview Show. We're looking at Monday's 5-game main slate. 8 p.m. roster lock for all 5 games here. NBA with kind of a weird schedule this week. Again, randomly giving us 5 games that all lock at 8. On Thursday, we have just 1 game. And then we got a couple of big slates to deal with as well. Of course, DraftKings cuts off those 10 p.m. slates. So it should be an interesting week for NBA. This should be a pretty interesting 5-gamer as well. We got some injury news that we're obviously going to deal with. We have the possible or expected debut for Trey Murphy for the Pelicans here. They badly need some offensive upside with Zion Williamson missing some time here. We got a couple of teams on back-to-backs. The Thunder tonight, Chet Holmgren left 5 minutes into the game with an injury, did not return. We'll have to see how serious that injury is. It probably seems unlikely that he would suit up on the back-to-back here, so we have to watch that. Washington is on a back-to-back. Houston's on a back-to-back as well. Kings will be on a back-to-back. Is that it? Any other teams on back-to-backs here?
OKC, Washington, Houston, and Sacramento. Nope, that's it.
Yep, that's what we got. So, again, 5 games to talk about. A couple of matchups we'll go over. Highest rostered price play on the slate is Victor Wembanyama. You had 7 blocks the other night. He's the beast. SGA is 10K. So, smaller slate, not a ton of spend-up options. As you see, it jumps only a couple guys over 9K as well. So, roster construction should be pretty interesting for this one here. Grande, looking at point guard. SGA is 10K. James Harden, $9,800. We got Ingram with the dual positional eligibility. De'Aaron Fox, Donovan Mitchell, 8K and above. Fox, to me, feels like a pretty good price tag in the matchup against San Antonio here.
Just circling back to the scheduling,
Sure.
I think it has something to do with in-season
tournament.
tournament starts Tuesday, so we'll see Monday used as like a travel day, and then Tuesday, Wednesday as their introductory back into the now Emirates Cup is what.
Right. The Emirates Cup.
So
they got it sponsored this year, you know.
So I'm assuming that's the thing here, and most of these teams will probably make their season Emirates Cup debuts like Wednesday, but so I assume that's the scheduling that's happening here.
Sure.
For point guard, I mean, I have no problem getting back to SGA. Obviously, they haven't been playing well in this game on Sunday evening. There's still some time to be made up the deficit. We'll see if that happens. But likely without Chet, obviously, means more SGA. We'll see what they can do in general because they're going to go small. I mean, they don't really have front court depth with Hartenstein, with Jalen Williams, the Y out, and possibly Chet. I mean, that is not a good sign for the depth, and not a good sign when Ivica Zubac is on the other side, who's been a monster this year. So I'll love SGA in tournaments. Harden obviously has been tremendous from a fantasy perspective. He's not shooting the ball well. When he does, you're going to get a 70, 75, 80 fantasy point game because the peripherals are so good. And, we know he's a better shooter than 36%. But he is shouldering a lot of the load. So we will get a pop game here from Harden. I like him in tournaments quite a bit. Ingram's obviously interesting with the eligibility. New Orleans getting Trey Murphy back is solid. He was terrible in that Orlando game, and they actually kept it competitive for a pretty long time, and then it wasn't anymore because they just ran out of steam. I'd be okay going back to the well with Ingram. You mentioned De'Aaron Fox, definitely good with De'Aaron Fox. I don't think it's a coincidence that the peripheral stats have kind of fallen off a cliff or going to be inconsistent, just given everything that they have on that team. I mean, they have obviously a ball dominant center who the offense still facilitates to. They have a really ball heavy player in DeMar DeRozan. So I think it's very hit or miss when it comes to the peripheral stats for De'Aaron Fox, but 8,500 is a really good price. It's a really good matchup. So I like all these guys over 8K.
Agreed. Cleveland's got a pace up spot. Chicago, obviously, one of the highest paced teams. Are they still the highest paced team in the NBA, James?
They were as of Sunday. They were still number one.
So obviously Cleveland has that now. They're 11-0 now. They continue to kind of be a bit of a wagon here. We haven't gotten a ton of upside games out of Donovan Mitchell yet. I mean, 22 actual, 1 rebound, 1 assist in 35 minutes against Brooklyn. The price is obviously falling. There's going to be a day where this price is too cheap. 40 fantasy points is 5x for him here. If you think Chicago can just hang around a little bit, this could be, given the pace up nature, a Donovan Mitchell spot. What do you think?
Donovan Mitchell had 12 points in the first quarter in Brooklyn and finished with 22 and 28 fantasy points. I mean, just a team that I just cannot get right no matter what. I play Mitchell, you're supposed to play Garland. I play Garland, you're supposed to play Mitchell. I play Mobley, you're supposed to play Allen. You play Allen, you're supposed to play Mobley. It's just a never-ending cycle. So I'm just not the person to ask because I'm gonna play the wrong person. I'm good with anyone Cleveland related because, as you mentioned, Chicago, it's just a insane pace. Cleveland's actually playing faster this year. New head coach, new philosophies, right? They're 11th in pace. They were bottom in the league every year the last couple of years. Chicago's first by over 5 possessions, and they're also a bad defensive team. Chicago ranks 18th. So, obviously a super exploitable spot. Either Cleveland guard is in play. If you want to pay up for Mitchell, great. Sure, he has a massive ceiling. You want to play it for Garland? Great. He has a massive ceiling. Get ready to be let down with the one you pick. Just, prepare yourself if you're
Make 5 lineups, play 1 in each, right? Garland obviously been the more consistently better player in terms of production-wise. Dennis Schroeder at 7K against the Pelicans. Now, again, Schroeder really hasn't been the same guy as he was during that stretch here. Going to have the Alvarado matchup as well, which can certainly be frustrating. So I don't know necessarily if I'd be looking to go in that direction. Van Vliet gets Washington. Bub Carrington left today's game. Did he end up returning? Do we know?
Yeah, I believe I saw him playing in the fourth quarter.
Okay. So, they have obviously that go down, but Van Vliet, Houston's going to be a pretty heavy favorite in this one. Washington today was down big. They end up losing to Orlando 121-94. Would imagine probably a similar outcome in this game as well. Chris Paul, ever since we played him, he stopped playing well. We played him during these run of 40 games, and then shots stopped falling. The assists have been fine, but I don't know what happened to Chris Paul. The ups and downs, I guess. But 6,700, we can't pay that right now with the way he's going.
No, and I don't think there's any reason to when you can play Van Vliet above him or you play Alvarado below him. I mean, I think I know Trey Murphy's coming back. There's obviously going to be limitations on Trey Murphy just right out of the gate. And there's no Zion. I mean, it's just a incredibly shorthanded Pelicans team that's going to need Jose Alvarado to play 35 minutes. It's not even Jordan Hawkins is there. He's not. There's no backup ball handler here. Yeah. I mean, they're giving Jalen Noel, shout out to Jalen Noel, but they're giving him run in the last couple games. And I think there's a reason why he was out of the league, right? Before New Orleans signed him. So not a real reason to get to Chris Paul. We're concerned with the shots now. Stephon Castle scored 20 the other night. Devin Vassell made his debut, took a whole bunch of shots. The shot volume is not getting any better from here. So unfortunately, we missed our, we savor those 3 games for Chris Paul because we might not get him back very often this year.
Yeah, I agree. Alvarado for sure. I agree with you. I don't think he'd be the one to lose minutes to Murphy there. So I'm good on that play. Karis LeVert off the bench and Castle at 49. If you want to play either of those two, I'm good. Good with that for sure. Any other value for you?
Yeah, LeVert's been great.
Yeah, LeVert's been really good. Yeah, and not even playing a lot of minutes. Now he did play 31 that last game, but for the most part, he's been kind of hovering around the low 20s and have been productive.
Yeah, they closed with LeVert over Jared Allen in that game, so that was really fun for people who rostered Jared Allen. But yeah, LeVert has been really good and even in limited stints. I love Stephon Castle, the player. Obviously, if they're going to give him 35 minutes in a game that Devin Vassell played in, that speaks volumes, right? I mean, they went out and drafted that kid in the first round. It's not going to be him that's losing time. Champagny,
Right.
Harrison Barnes, those two are going to be duking it out for like rotation minutes sooner rather than later. So, yeah, if you want to get to Stephon Castle, by all means. I am going to be really interested moving forward in Ben Simmons if we're going to get the minutes that we're starting to like. I know he's been sitting in this 24 range, but 3 of the last 4, 1, 2, and 3 more minutes ticked up. The Detroit game, why even bother? They lost by a lot, and it's Detroit, so like, but as soon as he starts getting extended, I mean, 37 and 28 fantasy points for Ben Simmons. Shot volume is what the shot volume is going to be. He's yet to score double-figure points in any game. But the rebounds have been great. The assists have been great. Pelicans are the worst team in basketball in terms of defensive rating. Number 1, dead last, with a bullet. Worse than Washington, worse than Toronto, worse than the Lakers, worse than Atlanta. They are the worst. And so,
the more minutes he plays, the more defensive numbers we get out of him as well. Because we know he's an elite, steals and blocks guy. Can be. Definitely steals, can get blocks as well. I'm with you. We don't need him to score 15 points. If he scores 8 but gives you 8, 8, 2, 2, like you're in. That's good enough at his price points. I'm with you 100% at $4,800 there. Anything else for these Thunder guys? I mean, they started Trey Mann, I think it was, right? Or not Trey Mann.
They started Wiggins.
Wiggins, right. They started Wiggins, and then they started, who did they start for Chet, though?
They started Isaiah Joe in the second half.
Isaiah Joe, that's what it was. Are they shooting guard? Is that what they are?
Wiggins was a small forward, power forward on the.
Joe's a shooting guard. Okay, so we'll hit them both here because I
don't
know.
Also, Cason Wallace. So just how this game is flowing. Cason Wallace is point guard eligible. Cason Wallace is up to 25 minutes with 5 minutes left. He has 16 actual. So another thing they just are going to have to play small because they don't have if Chet's not there, they're not going to extend Ousmane Dieng. He's played for 10 minutes. So they're just gonna play small, and unless they sign someone off the streets tomorrow, or Chet just magically heals.
When does the other Jalen Williams come back? Is he?
I'm pretty sure it's like a soon-ish thing, and even Kenrich is out, so it's not even like a 4 to 6 weeks. So he aggravated it, so he's not even close. So he's dead. So they're just going to be super small in this game.
Sure. All right. Shooting guard, again, it has some guys we've discussed already. Mitchell Poole, $7,800. Jalen Green, posterized Cade Cunningham today. I don't know if you saw that play or not.
Yeah, he yelled at him and got a technical foul.
Yeah, well, that happens in the NBA. No fun league. Norm, 73. Cam Thomas looking pretty good probably for this matchup at $7,200. We'll see what Levine, 68. He was limited to, was it 32 minutes in that game?
Yeah.
So we'll see, the limitations increase at all, but we have that. And then we have Vassell, who came back, scored 21 points in 22 minutes. So good to know that he's going to be that kind of player when on the floor. We'll see how quickly his minutes ramp up.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting shooting guard. We talked Donovan Mitchell. We didn't really talk Jordan Poole, but he played a bunch in the blowout. I'd be okay with Jordan Poole in tournaments. Jalen Green also really interesting in tournaments, but that's all. Just tournament play. Norm has been so good every night scoring the basketball. Random 12 rebound game for Norm Powell the other night, which, I think I looked because I was interested. I think he had 12 opportunities and he grabbed all 12 rebounds, which is super, likely to happen all the time. So, the scoring is going to be the scoring. We're just seeing it. He is their most reliable scorer right now. That includes James Harden. He is number 1 with a bullet, making threes, whatever. When we get the purple stats, we get the boom games. When we don't, we get at this price, very solid production. So I'm good with Norm, super safe. Cam Thomas does look pretty good. I usually don't get to him because another guy who's just in order to have a ceiling game, it's largely been based on his scoring.
Yeah.
still probably a little bit indifferent at 7,200, but he does have a ceiling because he can score, and this is a really good matchup to score. You mentioned Levine. I don't mind the price. I'd assume the limit would get to like 34, 35, but we'll see. And yeah, I'm probably not going to pay 61 for Vassell, but you're right. I mean, he is just such a good offensive player. It's going to be fun to see him now with Wemby and Castle and Chris Paul. It's just much more fun team overall.
Yeah, I agree. Again, Murphy's there. Won't touch him because I assume he'll be pretty severely limited. Is Brandon Boston the one that loses out? Because he's been unbelievable.
I mean, loses out. I don't know, like what they'll go Alvarado. And this is like if they just throw Murphy into the starting lineup. Alvarado, Murphy, Ingram, Messi, and then I guess it just depends on if they want to go JRE or if they want to go Brandon Boston, right? They can go small and use Ingram at the 4. Brooklyn is only playing Dorian Finney-Smith, the power forward, so like you could get away with using Brandon Boston. If Brandon Boston is starting, and obviously we'll know pregame, and I mean he's 5,900 in theory is a lot, but he's been playing monster minutes and he's been super productive. So if he's starting, I'm definitely fine with it.
Sure. Champagny, I think, was the victim of Vassell here. Only played 25 minutes in that game.
Yeah, Vassell and Castle just being great.
Yep. You've talked a lot about liking Eamon Thompson here. I'm going to continue to sort of play these like mid-20s minutes. He's going to have some big games. He's going to have some middling games, but always I think kind of consideration for the rotation here. And then we talk Thunder players, right? Someone's going to get a bump. They started Isaiah Joe in the second half. They started Aaron Wiggins to begin the game. Lou Dort was off to a crazy good start in this game. What are your thoughts here at Thunder?
Yeah, I mean, any of them are in play as long as you're like the understanding that one of them may not play in the second half, like Aaron Wiggins, or just one shift, and not like just how the Thunder operate, because they also have Caruso that they can they have a lot of different directions they can go. So yeah, I'm good with mixing and matching Thunder in like multiple lineups.
Okay. Anybody else for you down here?
I don't think so.
Okay. Small forward has again Brandon Ingram up at the top at 86. Jalen Williams certainly becomes a bit more interesting without Chet, $7,800. We've liked Jalen Williams anyways. Take Chet out of the rotation, and things could certainly look a little better for him. Then a lot of guys we've kind of discussed: Cam Johnson, Bilal Coulibaly, Keldon's at 59, Keyshawn's 56 now. Started today. Keyshawn George. What are we doing at small forward here?
Yeah, I mean, I think Jalen Williams. I wonder if they're actually like legitimately forced to start him at center. I mean, I don't know what they're. I just don't know what they're gonna do.
Sure.
But if Jalen Williams is starting, I mean, he's starting. But if he's starting at center, I assume they're just gonna play like a lot of zone. Yeah, no Chet obviously presents a lot of opportunities. He'd probably be one of the safer plays of the day. DeRozan's fine, indifferent about him, but we know he has a ceiling going back to San Antonio if you like revenge narratives. Cam Johnson's been super consistent. 6,500 is a fine price. Has survived. They've played back-to-backs, and he survived both of them. And
36 and 40 minutes too in like 2 games, and it didn't break down.
Yeah, it's been a really good start to Cam Johnson's season. Definitely like his healthiest, knock on wood, of his pro career. I mean, 17, 4, and 3, 31 fantasy points per game. Like that's and Brooklyn's been obviously super surprising, super competitive against Boston, super competitive against Cleveland, like the 2 best teams in the East right now. So beat Milwaukee twice. I mean, it's been a good start. Cam Johnson's obviously a big reason. Coulibaly is slowed down since the hot start, but as long as there's no Kuzma and like possibly no Bub Carrington, the minutes will obviously be there.
You know what's hurting Coulibaly is that now they have like other shooters that are just shooting.
Yes,
right?
For sure. And now the shot volume just super inconsistent. Like
Keyshawn's taken 16 shots. The Koulibaly can't, you know?
Yeah, he's taking a lot of shots, even off the bench, not slowing down whatsoever. So if you want to get to Keyshawn George, yeah, I mean, he's been super good. Interesting note, the Malik Monk, we didn't really talk anything Kings secondary related.
Yeah.
And we could, like, Keanu Ellis or something, maybe like gets a bump, and Hoarder's right here at 4,000. He left Sunday and instantly got rolled out. So definitely something to monitor. Where, like, we didn't talk Kevin Huerter at shooting guard, but he is also small forward eligible. 4,500. I mean, that just opens up a lot more opportunity for him. Very, like, dependent on whether the shots go in or not. But if the shots are going in without, I mean, there's no one to take him out now. So I would definitely have some interest there.
Okay. Tari Eason certainly could find himself having a monster night. Like, this is a perfect Tari Eason spot, right?
Dude, every spot. I don't even know. He had like 4 points and a rebound at half, and then he checked into the third quarter and just literally dominated that game. Everything was Tari Eason related. Offensive rebounds, made shots. I mean, he is so good. They're just going to have a hard time keeping him off the floor. He's just going to start playing over someone, right?
Somebody,
I mean, it's just somebody's not going to play over him for much longer. And the unfortunate thing is for their franchise is they gave Dylan Brooks a lot of money. They're playing him a lot because he's also, like, a good defender. They drafted Jabari Smith second overall, but he's kind of been the one that's fell victim to all the playing time. So they're going to find minutes for these kids like Thompson and Tari Eason because they're too good to not play. And we're seeing that pay off. So, yeah, I mean, we've also seen Tari Eason, on back-to-backs not play. He's played one this year, 16 and 18 minutes. So we'll see what they do on the second leg. But, yeah, I mean, if he's good, all systems go, I mean, he's an elite fantasy player.
Sure. Anybody else here at small forward?
Just the guys you mentioned. This is actually a position we could talk. Wiggins, he started off so good and then just kind of didn't play in the second half, which is unfortunate. So if you want to play Aaron Wiggins, I think that's a solid play amongst all the other names that we have talked about. But no, I don't think there's anything else.
Power forward. Again, a lot of guys we've discussed. Got Evan Mobley here at $7,600. Keegan, $6,200. Sarr started today, 58. He's starting anyways, but they didn't start Valanciunas. They started Sarr at the 5 to get Keyshawn in the lineup. So can take a look at some guys here.
He started,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I defer to you on Mobley. I'm telling you, I just don't know. I mean, it's like, I'm not saying he's a great play, but is he going to give you 34 or 29, or is he going to give you 54? Because he was the best player on the floor in that game, and Jared Allen got benched. So, I mean, he's an elite tournament play in a great spot. Keegan is going to probably guard Wemby here. Maybe Vassell when he's in. So he's going to have a tough assignment on that end, but he's been a great rebounder, something that we've pointed out a couple times. Definitely fine getting to Keegan. Sarr is okay. I mean, the peripheral stats have been good. The scoring's just very inconsistent. We saw
shots
that.
Shots are great.
Shots are great. The scoring was, that was just like very on display, like dating back to preseason, where he just like wasn't all that good in that aspect. So yeah, I mean, like we're gonna get like random boom games when he makes the shots, and those days will be good. But yeah.
Let's see. Okay, I mean, Jabari's here, but we've talked playing Easton, obviously. Patrick Williams.
Look at the minutes. I mean,
well, that's where the Easton minutes are coming from, right? Like,
yeah. And wouldn't you're just like, at that point, you're just living with Tari Eason for 400 less than you're playing Jabari. And if Jabari has his game, like, salute to him. He was the second overall pick, right?
Agreed. Anybody else? Dorian Finney-Smith, JRE, Derek Jones is down here. Anything for you?
Those are like three of the same players to me. All have chances to start. Well, two of them will start. We'll see about JRE. If he starts, it's fine. I would still lean probably Wiggins if he's starting. I don't think they're all last piece in type filler.
Wemby is your top price center. As I mentioned, he had 7 blocks against Utah. James wrote up a pick-em article saying that he doesn't rebound anymore, and he went out there and had 9 in the first half, continuing our show jinx, essentially. If we talk poorly or talk down on a player, they will go out and have a ceiling performance.
All my other write-ups were great. I just bet the wrong Wemby one.
Yeah.
Should have bet the over.
Yeah, he had 8 rebounds in the first 8 minutes of that game. I was like,
should bet the over. Yeah, bet the over on that
one. But then he didn't have another rebound for the entire first half. So I thought, can you imagine? It'd be one of the greatest victories of all time, under 9.5 with 8 at halftime. He didn't. He had 16, 24, 16, and 7 because he is that dude. I'll never tell you not to play him if you don't want to. I know. Did you share the article or did I read it independently? Somebody saying that Wemby is not really an impactful player on the offensive end of the floor.
Definitely did not share that article for you.
Okay. Somebody basically said that they talked to NBA West scout and said no question, Wemby is a game changer defensively, but offensively he is average. That he, is his size is basically the appeal. But when it comes to his actual offensive upside and game, that he just kind of floats around, he doesn't have any special moves. He's not a knockdown 3-point shooter. There's all these, he's not an elite offensive talent. Basically, he scores out of just size, like Giannis. Giannis is actually a terrible shooter. Can't hit free throws, can't shoot threes, but he puts his head down and gets to the rim and scores, right? They basically are saying that Wemby is in the same ilk. I say that about Giannis as he scores 35 a game, right? Because he just takes a billion shots and gets to the rim a lot and shoots the free throws. But, that was what the NBA scout said, that Wemby is a game changer defensively, but just average as an offensive talent right now. I'm not a scout. That's their opinion.
I'm not gonna add anything to this conversation.
Okay.
I don't think he's as good as maybe people think he is offensively, or at least what the expectation was.
Yeah.
Shooting 28% from 3. We knew he was coming into the league, he wasn't the best shooter. We knew that oh wow, he's 7'4" and can shoot from 3, or he's 7'6" and can shoot from 3.
Yeah.
I do think he's better than what that scout's saying. I mean, he makes all his free throws. Even when shooting 28% from 3, he's still shooting 43% from the floor, which I mean, it's correct. Whatever. Don't want to go there right now. Yes, if you want to play Victor Wembanyama, there's obviously an appealing ceiling because
Okay. This is the bonus here at 95. Obviously, he is great. He'll have to deal with Wemby in this spot. Vuk has to deal with the Cleveland front court, but he has obviously been fantastic as well.
Yes.
Zubac probably the play here with no Chet at 8K.
I mean, I don't know. I just don't know what they're gonna do. What are they gonna do to stop him? It's not even this. This isn't our mothers and fathers of Ivica Zubac. Right. This is transformed version where he's playing 37. He's averaging 35 minutes a night. 16 and 13 Zubats. We've never seen this, right? Yeah. And it's out of necessity, but it's obviously been inside. It's been in Zubats this whole time.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm just praying he doesn't get taken off the floor by spacing, but
sure.
Maybe it's just a game, the most zone you've ever seen in an NBA game. Both teams are just playing zone all night. And
yeah. We talked. I wrote this up actually in the playbook on Saturday. I was for years, all we've ever begged for was Ivica Zubac and Jakob Poeltl and all these Jonas Valanciunas, those guys to just play 30 minutes. Give us 30 plus minutes consistently because we know that they can go out there and dominate. Finally getting 30 plus minutes here out of Zubac, and this is what we're getting. Just 16, 12, in a block. It's It's pretty elite. Your boy Sengun, his price tag is dropping hard here. But 45 fantasy points against Detroit. He now gets the Wizards. Like, it's a pretty good spot, pretty good price. Like, what do we make of what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, if you like just look back at all the Rockets we've talked about, they're all priced down. And the last 2 games that they were involved in before the Detroit game were blowouts. So like you get OKC game, Sengun plays 27 minutes. No starter played the fourth quarter, right? So 27 minutes, no starter plays the fourth. In the San Antonio game, they win by 27. Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, only starters play the fourth. Sengun played 24 minutes. They're never checked back in the game. So, like, you got 2 games in which, yeah, don't look great on paper. From a minute fantasy point per minute perspective, they did. Yeah. And because of that, as we've seen in, like, the algorithm that they're using, their prices drop when their fantasy production, right, doesn't match up to it, even though, like, it doesn't tell the full story. Yeah. And you get 30 minutes in Detroit, 27-10. We got 33 minutes against the Knicks, 25, 14, 5, and 4.
Yep.
I mean, every game that he's extended in, he's smashing. Every single one, he is smashing. So he's going to be a lock and load for me at 7,900. That's a lock and load price based on things that have happened that, like, sure, could this game get out of hand? Absolutely. Can Washington's young players also just be young as heck on the second leg of a back-to-back and, like, not be tired and make a bunch of shots? That could also happen. Sure. And in a competitive game, you get 30-plus minutes out of Sengun, and he goes absolutely berserk.
Yep, I agree. But again, good price tag for both the Zubac and Sengun there. You got your Cleveland guys. You talk Sarr. Claxton, 32 minutes on a Claxton against Cleveland there. Pelicans, we know, shorthanded in their front court. We know offensively he's rather limited, but, you know, defensively, and we there should be more rebounds than 10 on most days here for him if we're going to start getting 30 minutes out of him. So he's probably priced appropriately because of the limited offensive upside, but I do think it's a good piece here.
Like, I agree on the limit. In that Cleveland game I was watching, he literally made a layup with his right hand. You know how sometimes Jaylen Brown always did it, where he would, like, anytime he made a lefty layup, he would run up the court, like, looking at his hand or something. Claxton did it and, like, smacked his hand and stuff, like, gave himself a high five.
High five for making a bucket.
He is not, you're right, like, he is not, but also he is a double-double guy, like, low-end double-double, and he only had 1 block in that game.
Yeah.
Nick Claxton's a guy who can get you 3 or 4 blocks in a game and get you 12, 13 rebounds, especially if he's going to start playing 30-plus minutes.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think 5,700, I think Brooklyn is a really good team to target. Basically, though, like, it's like 4 guys, right? Claxton, Simmons, Cam Thomas, Dennis Schroeder. Don't worry about anything other than that because it's a mess. It's always Jordi Fernandez is a good coach, but he is, like, so hot and cold with who he wants to play. Jalen Wilson's been playing a lot, then he doesn't. And then Zaire Williams plays a lot, and then he's productive, and then he, like, it doesn't. So, like, yeah, I love 5,700 for Claxton. Not really scared off because he's not, like, a 20-point scorer.
Sure. Are we playing any of these value guys? You know, Valanciunas, JRE is down here. Jalen Smith, our guy, $3,800, came through yesterday. 17 minutes, 21 fantasy points. You know, not terrible at $3,800 here.
Yeah, I mean, that's your always condition. You can play Jalen Smith, sub 4K. And I feel like last year he was more than that. I feel like we were consistently getting like a 4,200 Jalen Smith. Mm-hmm. But, he's not going to play more than 17 minutes. They refuse to play him next to Vooch. They refuse. It's just he is the backup center. So, yeah, I mean, he has a really high ceiling because not a lot of backup centers are taking 3 to 5 threes a game either. If he goes 4 for 5 from 3, you're in a pretty damn good spot because he's suddenly got you. You know he's getting you 5 rebounds.
Yeah,
I like Jalen Smith.
All right. Anybody else? No. All righty. You mentioned you're just playing Sengun, so I'll just plug that in here.
Is Nikola Jokic not available? Is Nikola Jokic not available in this league?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not. He has another triple-double tonight, though.
Yeah.
So
3 quarters, almost 30. It's almost a 30-point triple-double in 3 quarters. By the way.
Yeah, he's really good. I played him tonight. He is 41% rostered, on pace for 87 DraftKings points. So hopefully you played him. You may need him.
Seems like a useful number, 87.
Seems like a useful number. I agree. All right, let's go Tari Eason here, power forward. I'm just enamored. We'll go Sengun Eason. We'll just double it up here.
Okay.
A little enamored with that spot here. All right, what else are we doing? 6,200. Where are we going with the Thunder?
Oh boy. I mean, it's impossible to know what they're going to do outside of they're going to start Dort, SGA, Williams, right? Those are 3. The other 2, no idea. We know Isaiah Joe's going to play mid-20s minutes. I think he's safe at 36. We know Cason Wallace is going to play mid-20s minutes. He's probably safe at 37. Wiggins at 4K, if he's starting, I think is perfectly fine. Jalen is probably the best per dollar of the bunch based on our lineup. And then like Joe or Cason Wallace are probably 2 of the plays we'd want to get to. I think both those guys are super strong options.
I'm good with it. Point guard. Let's see here. We got 6,500 basically for a play. We got maybe Alvarado.
Yeah. Simmons is also there at 48. If we want to attack New Orleans.
Well, we can play Simmons too. Is he
play Joe at shooting guard?
Yeah, Simmons at guard.
I definitely want to get some, like the Brooklyn exposure is interesting.
Cam Thomas is right here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you want to try to get Wemby in this lineup? But I don't know if it's gonna be like we're end up like playing another Thunder.
Be $4,400.
It's literally just another
Derek Jones or another Thunder. Aaron Wiggins.
Caruso. Dort is gonna start and play big minutes. I mean,
we definitely can if you want to.
I'm not opposed. I'm not,
Again, there's not many spend ups. We can do SGA, save a little bit of extra money, and then play like Eamon Thompson or something if you wanted to.
Two members of the Houston bench
mob. Yeah, bench mob against Washington here.
It's not a bad strategy if you think that game can get out of hand, but also
those guys don't play blowout run though.
They don't. They're just like in their top 7. They're just like, nah, you're sit over.
Yeah. So I don't know. Again, it's doable if you're good. Just you take Ingram on the way back if you just want to stack that game. Ingram 63. Go like Keegan here.
Yeah, it works.
Little fair and balanced lineup: Alvarado, Joe, Williams, Eason, Sengun, Simmons, Ingram, and Keegan Murray. Example lineup for everybody. We'll be back live 5 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. roster lock though, so we'll have quite a bit of time after the show ends. So make sure you stay by your phones, have your alerts turned on, your notifications, and get in that Fantasy Alarm Discord. We appreciate you all tuning in here, everybody. Again, we'll be back at 5. We'll see you then.